right, let's get to it. Yo, we are tWoTcast, episode 280.
All right, everyone, shut the f*** up.
We are tWoTcast! Wheel of Time. Reread podcast. Explicit and R freaking rated. Jono's the wild card, always talking shit. Joe's the straight man. He's a total dick. Tom calls in if he's not too busy. We are tWoTcast!
You're listening to tWoTcast, the Wheel Time Reread podcast, now covering Robert Jordan's The Wheel Time Book 3, The Dragon Reborn. With me is Jono.
Jono.
Joe.
Oh, hey, Tom.
I'm Tom, still your math. Oh, that's it. I thought I had to read more things.
No. Again, what episode is this?
Shut up. The only thing dumber than us having to read the script is us commenting on us having to read the script every week.
I know, but it's like
Connor does like to bring that up every week, by the way.
In fairness, though, we fuck it up every week. It's not like it's a joke for us to like, oh, listen to us, readers, we're dumb. It's like, listen to us. We are fucking
viewers?
dumb. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, they're silent but applauding sarcastically. It was kind of frustrating.
All right. Well, I was going to dive into small talk with my comments from last year, 10 years ago's episode 9 of tWoTcast, because we didn't cover it last week and I didn't do my homework and I didn't. So I was going to talk about that a little bit.
And then what happened?
Are you trying to keep it a secret that you left those comments on the printer at work? Let's just talk about that for small talk.
No, I mean, we can keep that there.
Yeah.
Well, they're about to hear the comments that I left printed
So
out.
real quick, though, next week's small talk is going to be Joe pining for a job as he gets fired from this week's small talk, having been left on the printer.
I was going to say,
so weird.
I wish we were live and we could do a live poll to see how many people thought Joe was going to get fired for leaving any content from this show printed out somewhere.
By the way, my coworkers are going to be like, what? Because like, here's the thing. When I first got this job, like they're all aware of the podcast. So like, but slowly over time, most of those people are gone and there's a lot newer people there now. The amount of people that know about the podcast at work and that don't know, the number's vastly dwindling and the new people have no idea who I am or any of that stuff. So that's
probably for the best.
There's a shocking amount of people that know about this podcast, but don't really know about this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the podcast, that's cool. They'll ask you about it sometimes, and I'm like, you've clearly never listened to 1 second of this, or we wouldn't even be friends anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the funny things we talked about last time was the cover, because of course we did. But we sort of mentioned it last episode, but we kind of like glossed it. We joked about Rand's jean pants and stuff like that.
Jeans?
And then, but the funny thing is that I said Ishmael looks like Jafar. And then we proceeded to sing a lot of Aladdin songs throughout the rest of the episode, which I just thought was really good.
Is that how we got onto the Aladdin minion thing?
It might have been. I don't know. Like maybe that was just something that we were joking about, and then like God knows how many episodes later, when we started doing Dark One and Minion, we were like, let's sing an Aladdin song. It'll be funny.
Didn't we just do that last episode?
For a different reason, dickhead.
Did we do it for a different reason?
I swear to God. Am I wrong?
You're not.
I already edited it, so I don't remember already.
But we actually, we were drunk. Wait a minute, what? But I think we got onto Aladdin because of something different. But yes, from last episode.
But it wasn't. It wasn't
like
Ishmael looks like Jafar to me.
It wasn't that.
Correct. But literally 1 week ago, we sang like 10 different Aladdin songs during the course of the recording.
Oh, don't forget last week we were doing Patreon episodes.
That's what it was. We did it during a Patreon.
Oh, okay. That clears it up. Because I was like, did we? I don't think we did. Anyway. So there's the part where there's the part where Rand grabs Saidin in that one chapter entitled Saidin, chapter 2, I guess. And well, real quick, we did go into a long diatribe about how
Prince Saiyan.
Uno went to a kiosk in the mall and got an eye patch, and Tom invented a whole character about Uno's wife always nagging him to get an eye patch with an eyeball painted on it. And then he came home with the red angry eyeball and how she was pissed off that it was red and angry instead of like a nice looking eyeball. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But it was way longer than I remembered. I was like, we've been talking about Uno in the mall for like a long time.
I guess we make sure we don't cover that ground again.
Anyway, I said Rand's grabbing
for the third time.
I said Rand's grabbing Satan, and Tom said grabbing it. Then Jono said he grabbed it pretty hard too. And then I said losing hold of it, it goes everywhere. And then Tom said he only used to be able to do it when he sleeps. Now he's got to fucking choke it out in order to get it to happen.
Hey, you know what? That's a really good point.
That's literally it.
We're really smart.
Well, it is. It's very smart. It is clearly a coming of age story in all senses of the words.
All right, that's it. Yeah. That's all I got. I just wanted to make sure these funny things that we once said are brought back up again because they're funny.
Yeah, or you can just listen to fucking episodes from earlier, you lazy viewers.
Who wants to go back and listen? I'm doing the work for our viewers. They don't need to. So if you're a current listener and you never listened to the old tWoTcast, you don't need to. I'm summing it up here for you.
I mean, based on everything you just said, I want to go back and listen to it kind of.
Yeah, odds are that was better than what we're going to do today.
All right. Well, I'm ready for normal episode. You guys are.
All right. Well, here we go. It's so hard to do this. Oh, spoiler warning. We might spoil episode 9 of tWoTcast, so if you don't want that spoiled. If you don't want that spoiled, go back in time and miss this intro. So this is our episode covering the Dragon Reborn, written by Robert Jordan, chapters 4 through 7.
I'm admiring the person who goes listens to this and goes like, wow, I can't wait to listen to episode. Oh,
that's ruined.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to episode 9 now. Yeah, 11 years ago, you guys were 10. You guys were much funnier. But now I never write down the chapter titles. What's the title of chapter 4 before I? Shadows Sleeping.
All right. This is a parent point of view. So I wrote, parent has a dream that's surprisingly not wet, even though land fear is in it. You see some mother forsaken, wakes up to a wolf alarm clock. So
that's a great way of describing that. Every time I'm writing my notes, I'm like, how does Tom so concisely sum up these chapters? And wolf alarm clock never would have occurred to me. See?
I mean, that's what happens.
Tom does have value. Not that we would ever question that, Tom.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
All right,
we almost brought in the 4th Taviran 3 times this year, too.
I'm always amazed after I do it that you guys have anything left to say.
Really?
Because I'm just like, well, I mean, that was it.
I think that's the best part about it. I do always have something left to say. But you also so concisely sum up the chapter.
Concisely.
So if we skip over my notes, I don't care.
Oh, by the way, if we skip over my notes,
Jono will bring us back.
Yeah. Back to my notes. So it is Perrin and the Dream-In.
Yeah, Perrin's dreaming.
Yeah. And the many iterations. There's not too many interactions actually for Perrin with Balsamon, really. Like Ishmael is really not interested in Perrin other than in book 1 and right here. It's kind of interesting, really. That
I was going to say in book 1, every single time that Rand has a dream about him, Perrin does too.
And
we
so
just
does
don't
Matt.
see it.
Yeah. Well, we also find out later on that Perrin is dreaming Rand's dreams.
So, and that's
I don't think this is one of those, but I mean, what if it was? And it's like, this is really just Ishmael's really only concerned with Rand.
I mean, what this book presupposes is this is definitely not one. Not one of those.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
But what if it is?
What if it is not again?
We all know Custer died a little bighorn. What if he didn't?
I mean, what's of interest here in this conversation before?
Well, I think it's interesting that Ishmael isn't like Ishmael at first. He's just a guy at a table, and Perrin doesn't know right away. So I think it's almost like Robert Jordan's hiding that it's him to the reader for a minute before he's like, just kidding, it's Ishmael. Furnace face.
It's Ishmael trying to hide himself from Perrin as a dream figure, which doesn't make sense to me though, because Perrin's dreams are supposed to be shielded by the wolves. And
that I thought was interesting too.
So it's almost like he's not 100% certain of how much of a shield that's supposed to be, really. Or maybe Perrin needs to kind of reinvigorate himself with the wolves, maybe. I don't know.
So if in the first book it was Beelzemon drawing them into the dream, right now isn't Perrin just in the dream on his own? He's went to find Beelzemon by himself.
I mean, I guess.
I think it's the fact that he's in the dream as a wolf, as a dreamer, so to speak, and maybe Beelzemon is there for Rand, and he's just like, "Oh, you're here, okay. Why don't you drink this wine?"
That's not how it works. It's not like he's just in proximity and says, "Oh shit, that's nice." I think that
it is sort of though. It works that way sometimes.
The Perrin walks up to the table and he's just like, seat's taken.
Can't sit here.
Waiting for somebody.
You'll do, I guess. You want some of this poison water? I mean, wine? Nothing.
But so Beelzemon or Ishmael, whatever you want to call him, clearly has a nice little chest wound that he keeps touching every once in a while.
Yeah, he's injured, kind of like the first or book 2 when he was like burnt up.
A sucking chest wound.
He says, "You're a blacksmith, go back to it." And then he basically says, "Won't you join me for a drink?" And then I wrote, "This is where I would have joined the Dark One, free booze."
Yeah, we would have been. I don't like your plan, but I'll definitely have a beer with you.
Just immediate. Yeah. I'm out.
If I could also start getting drunk in my dreams, sign me up.
Yeah. Like, wait a second, I can get drunk now?
All right, home run.
Avoid that
between this and then between Lanfear just being like, "Why don't you drink this?" What happens if he drinks it?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that in the old episode, but I don't but not really. But like, we didn't really come up to any conclusion. We basically just said like it's him making a choice, but like now that we know all we know about dreams and shit, it's like, is there literally something in that drink that he's about to drink that would like fuck him up or something?
The answer would obviously be yes, because why not?
It's a trope from devil movies and stuff, but I just don't understand how it applies here.
Because once you drink the devil's juice, you become the devil's.
Wait, the devil's juice?
Yeah, devil's juice.
That again. I've never understood that.
He does say your threads are entwined. When one is cut, all are cut. So I was like, that's interesting. I still don't really look at them that way.
Well, that's a callback to the devil's Jews, that they're all circumcised.
Right.
Bad planning by the bad guys too. If that was really true, like, why do they spend so much time going after Rand?
You would have thought that.
Yeah, I know. Go after the weakest link. If you fucking kill him, Rand will fail. End of story.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Maybe that's what they call it.
Doesn't know what the fuck he's doing right now. He's laying on a litter.
Yeah,
Send
he's
100 Trollocs, kill that guy. Anyway,
and they're carrying a GPS device.
Exactly. Just turn Fane back into a hound for like a few minutes, hunt him down.
Can't any dark friend or shadow spawn sense that knife?
I don't think so. Isn't it like different evil?
Yeah, it's a different evil, but like only those who have really turned would understand what it is. Or draw, but you have to be in close proximity.
Tom, it's an evil that came from different.
I thought that was drawing dark friends to them like flies the whole time they were going to Camlin in the first book.
Because when they're close to it, any dark friends that are on that road are going to sense it and just know it's something different. But, thankfully, Fane went to the Children of the Light, which are also still housing a whole bunch of dark friends.
Yeah. Suddenly he's wearing armor and he is with Lanfear.
Yeah. He's got to grasp destiny with both hands. In your mind, what is destiny? Is it Lanfear, his red rocket, or
it's the haft of his axe,
or deadly wine? Which one of those is deadly?
I think Lanfear just has destiny tattooed across her tits.
Grasp.
It's not a real tattoo though, because it's the world of dreams. She can remove it.
What does it turn to afterwards when she wakes up?
Density.
Density.
Just because it makes her laugh.
That's why she changes into Celine all the time. Like, this fucking tattoo.
I wrote that Jordan wrote every other woman was clumsy and ill-shaped, and then I just wrote fuck. That's like, damn, it's really mean.
It really is.
I hope Lanfear wasn't based off of one of his ex-girlfriends.
I know.
No.
Just like, and Harriet's like, what the fuck is this shit? I'm ill-shaped.
Technically, they're both based off of Harriet, who is both very beautiful and clumsy and ill-shaped, unfortunately, because every female character has a little bit of her. Maybe he
barely says no. I don't think I want this, he says, and then wait.
Sounds like he's about to get raped.
Lanfear says something like, well, that was kind of what I was saying. Lanfear says something like, any man that has blood in his veins wants glory, kind of thing. And I was just like,
glory hole?
Dicks have veins.
I was gonna say, maybe parents like, joke's on you, all my blood's in my dick right now.
Yeah, joke's on you.
And guess what? They're more capillaries.
I don't want glory. I just want your density.
Your density around my dick. So, third dream after saying no to the most beautiful woman in the world, by the way, big mistake, but that's all right, Victor Pulak, is the bridge area of Tel'aran'rhiod that we've seen before, which is also really cool maze kind of thing. And it's he sees Lanfear spying, Samael meeting with Raven, and then Ishmael. Ba'alzamon comes. You can't hear it, but it's just kind of like a clearly.
Wait, it's Samael and Raven?
Yeah.
No. Well, 10 years ago, you thought it was Bilal and Raven. Bilal being the big bad for this book makes a lot of sense.
That would make sense. I don't remember.
You also said he was wearing Tyrian clothing, which is what your reasoning was. So I think 10 years ago you were smarter, Jono.
It could be. By the way, 10 years of drinking on top of that. I'm just assuming because it was someone who was handsome that he didn't really call.
Well, is Samuel handsome? I thought he had like a big scar on his face.
Short and compact. Like, he was the more compact person. Raven's the one who's.
Really right. Well, Robin being the guy isn't in question. It's Bilal/Samuel being there. Well, we don't know. I guess it's Bilal. I think it would be Bilal. I think you're right. 10 years ago.
And that would make sense for Bilal because Bilal is obviously in this book, as is Raven. So, let's go with original Jono, is the 10-year work version of Jono, which is me.
All right, listeners, strike that from the record. Yeah. Listen to Jono from 10 years ago.
And go back and listen to episode 9.
They're not going to listen to that. It's already been spoiled.
God. You fucked it up.
Perrin describes the flame that Ishmael like burns out the meeting with as a storm of flame, and I was like, that's a good title for one of these books.
No shit. It's a really good call.
Technically, Fires of Heaven mixed with George R. R. Martin's Storm of Swords.
We have a real potential for a book.
Martin copied Jordan.
Yeah,
all of his books are a ripoff.
Storm of Flame.
Flame of Sword. Flame of Storms.
What about book 15? That's called Weapon of Thing. So I mean, that's one of the most interesting titles, I think.
Wait, actually, just leave it as Weapon of Thing. We'll leave it as Weapon of Thing. Book 16 will be Thing of Weapon.
Yeah. Book 17, by the way, preposition noun.
I think book 16 should be called something like Weather Tower or Weather in the Structure. The Weather of Tower. That way it would still be twat.
The Building of Weather.
The Weather of terrible word.
Anything else?
Sees a wolf watching him at that point.
Yeah. And then he ends up at the stone. Up here. Yeah,
which I think is... So this is Rand's dream. So again, like... Maybe all of this was?
No, it's not. It's not that it's Rand's dream. It's that Rand has the ability to bring them to kind of what he's seeing.
He's pushing his dream on everyone in the camp. So if he pushes Perrin into his dream, maybe Perrin being Perrin dreamed all of Rand's dreams as opposed to just the one in the tower or something, or the Stone of Tyr.
I never really thought about that. I like that. I'm into it.
I don't
really, why would
mind the idea, but I mean, Perrin is in this case. He's shielded from dreams because of the wolves, which doesn't make sense necessarily of why he got here at all. But I don't think that Rand can...
That's a good point in my corner, though. Like, if he's shielded from dreams normally, but Rand pushes all of his dreams onto him somehow.
Yeah, Perrin's still safe, shielded from the wolves, because this isn't even his dream.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Yeah, it kind of like fits in with what I'm saying. Right. If he's currently shielded with the wolves, therefore, like,
not gonna lie,
wouldn't be drawn into one of...
I like it more because Jono doesn't like it. So it's really
I don't like if my wife were to bring me another beer.
I don't like that either. I hope she doesn't.
Yeah, she can't hear me.
So this is when is this wolf alarm clock?
Yeah, he finds himself in the Stone of Tyr. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what Kalimdor is, but it's right in front of him. It calls to him to grab it. Hopper reappears and basically says the Twisted Ones come. And then he jerks erect. He doesn't actually. It's not really one of the moments.
I wish he really did jerk erect.
Well, later on, someone does jerk, not erect, but someone jerks in this. I have it written down. I don't know what happens. A couple chapters from now.
What's the title of chapter 5?
Frank.
It's definitely Uncle Frank.
Yeah, it's Uncle Frank. He cool jerks.
Yeah,
he's
a cool jerk for sure.
So he wakes up to the wolf alarm clock. What's the title of chapter 5?
Nightmares Walking.
Yeah. All right. Also a Perrin point of view. I wrote, after all of that, Moraine is the one who warns everyone an attack is coming. And then the gang fights a bunch of Trollocs. That's my biggest frustration with the start of this chapter. It's super cool. It's both of them, but it's super cool that
out of the tent. Perrin jumps out of the tent, looks around, and he's about to open his mouth, and then Lan warns everybody right before he can.
Frustrating though. You get this awesome part. You get this awesome part with Perrin and the wolves, and it's just like the attack's coming. And wakes up, and somebody else is raising the alarm. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, look, so this whole thing. We mentioned it in the last episode or last part of the episode or last episode. Yeah, fuck me. It's hard to speak English, but it's actually, Rand's really pissed off later on that he's like, I felt them coming, but I didn't know it too late. Well, fucking Perrin's been having head herpes for the last 4 chapters that the wolves trying to fucking tell him, which does make me the question of the wolves have been following these Trollocs for quite some time.
Or they just know they're there.
But they all talk about the fact that as soon as they see Trollocs, they would converge, especially if there's a Myrddraal. So
maybe they are converging.
Running, how fast are these Trollocs going though? For there to are there 30 fucking clusters of wolves?
That's a good point. I don't know how long the Trollocs are in the area. Obviously, Rand channeling is what drew them to the bowl, but how spread out were the wolves as well? I don't know. So maybe they were gathering in number to attack because it was a lot of Trollocs and at least 2 Fades, right?
There's 3, I think. One that
probably 3.
Yeah.
So so maybe they were gathering numbers for the attack, and that's why they were ready to attack when the Trollocs attacked. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know.
No, I know, but it's just kind of it's either kind of happenstance almost that the wolves or that the Trollocs were that close. It doesn't quite make sense, right? Where's the nearest?
The fact that the wolves would attack without really thinking strategically like that to gather their numbers is another flaw in that idea too. Because the wolves, you're right. The wolves would just attack, wouldn't they? They would be like, "Oh, Twisted One, let's fucking kill him," kind of thing. And whether they die or not, they're just like, "We died honorably."
Yeah, but it's just kind of funny to me that all this. Rand's wow.
And you said, they've been trying to tell Perrin for days that they're there. So clearly they're aware. I don't know. The only thing I can assume is that for some reason the wolves were gathering their numbers to attack and not attacking bloodthirsty.
So either way, we all agree this is Perrin's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So panty-clad Perrin jumps out of his tent, like Tom says. Yeah. And
immediately in his fur caprice.
Is it chilly in here? Did my red rocket just go right back?
We had a funny thought. 10 years ago. That's not really in my notes. Hold on. Did I say that? Oh, yeah. Oh, I did write it down. Don't sleep naked if that's as close to a human can be to a wolf. Like, as in, like, he should just be fully clothed when he goes to bed. Meaning, like, if you're trying that hard to not be a wolf and you're just, like, butt-ass naked in the middle of the night, then you're basically, like, I mean, that's how animals sleep.
No, it's not.
Sure it is.
They wear a wolf suit.
I also said 10 years ago, and this is a point of discussion less than a joke, and we didn't like discuss it fully, so it's something we can expand upon. I was mad that they weren't more on guard when they saw Min's vision that Leah died. Like, wouldn't that just put you on guard in general? Like, wouldn't you just be like, hey, let's post a few extra guards out tonight or whatever, or like just in general, you know, like just a little, like, not that you're ready for a full-on attack like that, but just a little more awareness of like what's going on around
any time between here and wherever she goes with her free spirit.
Sure, that is possible, but it's also possible that she's about to die.
Yeah, the violent part of her life. Yeah,
I mean, Jono's right. She could die with a coconut fell on her head.
What type of coconut?
True, but if you're in the camp of the Dragon Reborn, aren't you a little more on a heightened awareness if you see a vision that someone's going to be murdered? And until that person leaves, then you go, all right.
Presumably, I guess in theory, could they have more guards posted than they already have?
I guess not yet. Well, yeah, I think so. They could have. Those guys are soldiers. They could have slept for 2 hours in the day and then posted like double the guard that night, or like half of them could have been awake or what. I mean, Sure, certainly.
But like, to your point, Joe, I mean, like, presumably the most dangerous thing this lady's going to do in her life is either is
doing exactly what she's doing right now.
Yeah. Is it A, going to military camp, or B, living with peaceful hippies? Which one is it?
Yeah.
Again, it's totally up to you. I don't really know, your thoughts, but peaceful hippies clearly are going to be where it's at. So anyway, so I do. It's kind of cool, again, for no reason other than the fact that Perrin has this weird kind of like entanglement with the Way of the Leaf and with tWoTcast. Like a very weird love-hate relationship. Immediately comes out for her and finds, the fiddler Myrddraal on the roof about to kill her.
He's different from the butler Myrddraal.
Yeah. This.
Wait, is there really a Myrddraal fiddler on the roof?
Yeah, there's a Myrddraal fiddler, and then there's a Myrddraal butler. Two different guys.
Yeah. Myrddraal is fiddling on the roof of Moraine's hut, which is not a euphemism for anything, and just starts talking shit about, like, Leia was delicious, and then she comes out and, for some reason, tackles the Myrddraal. It doesn't seem in keeping, because, like, as opposed to like standing in its way, tackling the Myrddraal could get hurt and hit its knee, hit its head. That could be violent.
That is mildly violent.
Yeah,
you could get a concussion.
Yeah, this, to me, I think she had to die because she was a very bad tWoTcast. Like, Aram has nothing on her.
Did she helmet to helmet this Myrddraal? Because that would have been.
They had to change the rule.
Maybe from her perspective, she's like,
because then Leah's going to get thrown out of the fight for targeting.
Yeah.
Maybe from her perspective, she's like, if I was a leaf falling out of the tree, there's a chance I'd fall in this Myrddraal.
And she just misses like a coconut?
Maybe I would just like fall out of a tree and hit this Myrddraal. No big deal. It's not a tackle. It's not a true tackle. I'm just landing on him like a leaf would.
Like a leaf. I like it now. Now that I get it, it's actually way worse and way better. Way at the
now that you get it.
Yeah.
I was like, why did I have to describe that twice?
Where were you before?
I was drinking my beer.
At any rate, Lan dances the Trollocs and they die. Moraine, with a switch that turns into fire, slashes on the Trollocs' bodies and fireballs from her free hand. Parents Leah runs fight. Towards her. We just described all of that. Perrin's fighting
on fire.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, which we find out later is Rand. Perrin watching her die, and then just the "We come, brother," and all the wolves come is fucking awesome as shit. Like when that first happened, you're just like, God damn, this is fucking amazing.
It was.
And fucking Perrin kills a fucking Neverborn.
Personally. Yeah. Thank you. Neverborn. Miscarriage. Yeah.
We always say it's ridiculous. We always think it's a little ridiculous the skill that Rand has acquired with the sword.
Yeah, that was my
like
first. That was my takeaway. Yeah,
but with Perrin just went from being a blacksmith to like a true badass with his axe, like pretty fast.
And he didn't even really. I have to assume it's the wolf, like bloodlust and shit, like running through his like body and veins, and like just I'm a wolf now, and like being like the way he killed the white folks before. Because
he's a natural. You're a killer, Perrin.
He didn't even fight in the farm. You know, like he just held the banner.
No, I think he fought a little bit.
No, if you're listening to tWoTcast, all he did was hold the banner.
I'm gonna attack you like I held this flag.
Like, what? Perrin's part of Flag Corps. He's just like, look at all the moves I can do.
He's just spinning it. Looks like the wind.
Your neck is a flagpole. I'm gonna spin you around like a bitch.
Like a record, baby. By the way, I think this is his first time losing himself after, like you mentioned, killing the Trollocs, where he loses himself as a wolf, or almost.
Go ahead, Tom.
I love that he howls like a lunatic, and then to cover, Land is like, "Yeah, True Blood of Andor." And everyone's like, "Yeah, definitely. That's what that explains that."
That explains that one.
You guys know the Andor
don't look too far into that one.
One of the things a fox says.
Parents just like, oh, my high school mascot was a wolf. I'll talk to you guys later.
It's also funny. That moment is also particularly funny because the wolf killing the Fade is like nowhere nearby. That's like they've run off and chased them down, and he's just seeing it through their eyes. So like to everyone else in camp, everything is just still and quiet, and then he's just like, woo! And you're like, oh, okay.
Also, what does that look like? Because he's like watching it in his mind's eye as everyone's kind of slowly picking up. So he's just like,
yeah, I like to imagine at least two people walk by Perrin and we're like, hey, are you okay? What's going on with you? Just staring off into space. Yeah, Perrin murders a Fade by himself. Oh, I wrote hamstring and throat. That was fantastic. Just like, that's how we kill. I was like, that's fucking awesome.
It's funny because that's often his massage technique on Fail later is the back of the leg and then the neck. Back of the leg and then the neck. Yeah. What he deals. That's how he gets her.
Leah's dead. Perrin pleads with a corpse, I wrote. And then Young Bold rejoins the fight, rather. He calls the Shanirians 2 legs, which I thought was amazing. Again, kind of to Jono's point, like just like all of my notes are like little details of what we just described. But like Jono's like, this is the first time he's like really joined with the wolves in a fight. Not in a dream.
There's that one point where he realizes that Uno's got this huge dick and he calls him 3-leg.
It's one of the
it's one-eyed 3-leg over there.
It's one of the few times he joins with the wolves in a fight because he just doesn't do it that often.
No,
well, he's so resistant. So that was kind of what I was about to say before. Like he's so resistant to this. Do you think that he could have been like that gnome guy that they find later in this book, or
no?
Based on Perrin's full circle, do you think he needed to resist and find the right balance through all these books to get to where he was? Or do you think if he had just accepted it early, he would have been the same?
Part of the reason I think that Gnome went crazy is because there was no one around to tell him, like, hey, this is what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody would have just handed Gnome a book, he might have been like, oh, okay, I'm not a wolf. I'm like a wolf guy.
This is what a red rocket does.
But instead, he was just like, I don't know, I guess this is what I am now. Like, I think just Perrin is so self-aware. I don't think he's going to suddenly wake up one day and just be a wolf.
But he's self-aware and also self-denying, right? Like I think that's also part of his problem is, and again, that's kind of the bigger issue with especially the male main characters, kind of all of them. Rand, this whole journey here is for book 3 is Rand saying, I'm not sure if I'm the Dragon Reborn. Well, I guess I'm going to tempt fate because if I am the Dragon Reborn, we'll fucking find out. And, Matt does the same thing of running away from destiny until finding out that, no matter how fucking hard I try, I kind of end up in the same shithole situation. Perrin does the same thing, even though he's the one who's supposed to be the most responsible, adult, mature, and like I do what has to be done, but I deny myself sexually and wolfly. And yet, like, your what needs to be done with your wolf dick is what needs to be done. Like you need to embrace that shit.
Yeah.
Is kind of the whole over point.
It's just so seriously like, and like whatever needs to be done with your wolf dick is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You weren't, that was so unironic. You're like very serious in this conversation.
Yeah, that's how this works, Tom. That's actually how, like if you listen to the original Robert Jordan notes before he was getting sick, and he knows what needs to be done. There's a storm gathering near his wolf dick of what he's going to be shooting out. Wait, what? Say that again, Robert? I don't feel well. Never mind. Gathering Some Storm by James Oliver Rigney.
Oh, okay. Is that an Outrigger novel?
I mean, I'd read that.
The Outrigger novel is only when he's got Red Rocket going. Then it becomes when it gets colder.
All right. So what happens after the fight?
Joe, like,
well, Min's like, what the fuck, bro? When he howls at the moon.
I love the parent protecting the wolf hides, like because everyone's like, well, we can use those to keep warm. Like, what does it look like if Young Bull shows up wearing a wolf corpse? Like, it's not quite like it,
Yeah, that would be. Also, when they in like a few chapters when they leave the mountains, it's like he doesn't even need his coat. Like they travel down out of the mountains, and he's like, "I'm already warm," and I'm just like, "That's." It'd be really bad if you skinned a bunch of wolves. You're wearing wolf, and then you're just like, "Oh, I don't need this." Like super disrespectful.
Does he have like
and the rest of those Shanarians just skinned those wolves the second Parent was gone?
Oh yeah.
Does Parent have astral plane like wolf fur that like he wears even though it doesn't actually exist?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's just like
he gets the benefit of wolf fur even though he doesn't have it.
This is what I want to talk about. Massimo is turning crazy already.
Yeah, he's starting to lose his fucking mind, and it's kind of delightful. And it's always
clearly
been a question.
It started already. Like we're just seeing parts of it now. But like after Falm,
why does everybody give this guy so much shit? He just saw God fight the devil in this.
Yeah, no, I don't give him shit.
Literally.
I do give Parent shit for the things that came out of his mouth because Massimo's like, what do we do? He abandoned us. And he's just like, it's all
part of God's plan, my man.
Like, I know it's the next chapter anyway.
No, that's in this chapter.
A little crazy. No, it's just a little, no.
Oh, it is. You're right.
No. He goes to talk to Rand. Rand was upset that he wasn't able to use the power to help and couldn't warn them because he didn't realize it wasn't the taint on Sidon. It was the Trollocs, and he didn't realize the difference until it was too late. He basically says the same thing Karen does, like, I felt it, and until I didn't realize what it was until Lan was already shouting the warning, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny. That's exactly what happened to Parent, basically."
Well, except for the fact that like Rand has a secondary, or I guess a primary thing called that's what his mind always potentially feels like because of the source being diluted.
Yeah,
Karen,
and that's definitely what he blatantly says that. That's definitely what he was feeling.
I know, but like, I feel bad for Rand. Like Rand feels bad that people died, for him, which is true. But at the same time, don't worry, man. There's only 1 million more fucking people who are going to do that. So actually do feel quite bad. But in this case, you're not at fault. You didn't have any sort of notice until like 5 minutes beforehand. But Parent had, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 hours. So do feel free to make him feel worse for it.
Parent says a few things to try to help him feel better, and none of it's great per se, but it's not. There's not much you could have said there to make someone feel better. And he's like, "We had enough warning." Sort of didn't, but like that kind of thing.
Wait, you remember the one time too that he also says like, "If it makes you feel any better, like I forgot my reading glasses."
All right. Moraine heals Perrin. First time he's truly been healed, which I thought was interesting, like aside from fatigue.
The description?
That's not true. What about his bruises?
Yeah.
Well, his muscles knit back together and shit. Like that's like
gotta
a new thing.
Fuck. Yeah. That's gotta feel creepy as fuck. Like the idea of like your muscle, like the tissue and fibers kind of like getting back together.
Yeah, kind of. I think I think my memory holds on to the earlier moments of healing, like when they wash away fatigue and stuff. And I guess I don't think about it in great detail later on, but like the Aes Sedai heal people constantly that actually have had wounds through the book series. And you're just like, holy fuck, that's what every one of them is going through. Like they're like feeling their muscles and their bones like form back together. That's fucked up.
No, they spend a lot of time studying like muscle protein synthesis and post-anabolic workout, what you like protein kind of recommendations. Like that's why she's like, go get some stew. And he's like, do you mean roots? She's like, no, dumbass, stew. We're going to need you to eat that.
Moraine says we would have been dead without all those wolves in this moment, which I was like, that's kind of a cool, like, because she knows what it is. So she's like, by the way, thank you for saving all of us. Yeah. The last thing is they talk about the prophecies for a second. Like Rand mentions the prophecies of the blood because he is bleeding out of his wound. So like, I love how Moraine's like, oh fuck, you're fucked up in that wound again, and she's frantically trying to heal him, kind of thing. But then on top of that, Rand's just like, why don't you just take me to Shadowgore right now? Like, like I'll just bleed out now. It's totally fine. Everything's fine. And she's like, if it was that easy, I would just murder you and fucking take your blood and just pour it out of a cup.
It is a good idea.
Yeah.
You're not going to know if it doesn't work until you try it.
So she heals Rand, passes out, and Lan takes her to Betty Bye. And that's the end of the chapter.
Okay.
Chapter 6.
Let's get to
Chapter 6. What did you call it? The Cunt Begins?
The Cunt Begins. It's actually book 2 again. The entire chapter 6 is just book 2.
I know, it's like I know that like that chapter title. I'm like, the hunt begins, but what's the last book about? Like, also, it's Perrin again. And all right, so Rand runs away and everybody freaks out. They all dreamed about a crystal dick. Moraine is shittily sending men away, but first she tells Perrin her vision about him. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I wrote Lan said, "Sup, wolf bro, Rand is gone." It's my first
line of Rand is gone. Like that's a fucking like literally.
Wait, you missed? No, the first line is "Sup, wolf bro."
I don't know why. I think it said "suck wolf bro," and it made me think of
suck. No, Lan posted it, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, wolf bro?" Rand's gone.
Listen, when Lan is talking to Perrin, he says "sup, wolf bro." When Perrin is fighting people, he says "suck wolf bro." Don't get it confused.
Yeah, there's a very different. Yeah.
And when they're fighting Trollocs, they yell down "suck wolf bro" and throw wolf corpses down.
Yeah, that's true.
Suck wolf, and then all the wolves come flooding it.
Suck wolf bro, and they come pouring down the side of a bowl. Perrin gets ready to leave. Moraine's tent is the center of activity. Massima is losing it, which is going back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, like he's lost it. Like
he says, "What sin did we commit?" And then Perrin says it was according to Rand's plan. And then he's like, "You're right. He did not abandon us. We must spread the word." And you're just like, holy shit, man. Like, did Perrin just inadvertently send him, like, instead of like reining him in slightly, he just like, hey, what if I take your zealotry and put it in an arrow and just shoot it off into the world?
Taverin.
Yeah. Maybe this is why Perrin's the one who has to clean up what is ostensibly, because it always bothered me that like Massima, to my mind, spoiler for later books, Massima to my mind was something that
we already did that.
Yeah, I know. But still, like, should have stamped out, like, fucking, book 6 or 7 or 8 or, wow, way too fucking late.
I think secretly Rand liked that.
Yeah, my ego loves this. But maybe it's Perrin's fault. Like, maybe he feels a little bit of fault, and maybe
it does make more sense that Perrin's the one that cleans that mess up later. /Fael, really, but you know what I mean. Like he deals with it later, not Rand. It almost like makes sense in this moment. Like I didn't like connected those two events full circle because I was just expected Rand to like show up and be like, hey, listen, idiot. Stop it. Also, get all your crazy followers to come with me. I need more troops up at the border. But like,
yeah, I never thought he would. We're getting way out of bounds, but I never thought Rand would just be like, "You're fucking done." I thought he'd be like, "Awesome, thanks for raising this army of crazy people. Sure. We'll follow you no matter what. Let's go."
Yeah. I always thought Rand was going to swoop in and clean up this army of crazy people and just point them at a, cannon fodder at something, just be like, "Here you go." I guess later on when he was finally gathering people, he was more Jesus Rand and less like crazy mean Rand. So like probably wouldn't have just pointed human beings at as cannon fodder. But
I wouldn't worry about it, especially because they have cannons by that time too.
Yeah. All right, back on track. What else?
Back off of track. Joe said, "Why did Leah come outside at all?" And Tom said, "She's a pacifist who likes MMA." Anyway, she's dead. Moving back to on track.
So you can enjoy watching it without doing it.
This is one of my favorite, like to me for this book. This is one of the most iconic scenes to me. Like this, just little shitty hut of Moraine's, which is still the nicest hut around, is. Because so much changes here, right? I mean, this is where we find out Rand's gone, how we've fallen, and the Fellowship, Mach 3 at this point divides again, where Min goes to Tar-Valon.
You made that same mistake you make all the time. You mean Mark 3?
Yeah. Sorry,
not Mach 3.
Mark.
It's not. They're not moving really quickly. It's the third iteration.
They're not moving 3 times faster than they were in the first book.
And the speed of sound, they're not going around like 1,500 miles an hour. So, by the way, I spent some time looking at the map behind me, thanks to your reviews, asking myself, why the fuck did they do this? Because like as they're leaving, they're in the Mountains of Mist, kind of somewhere near the border of, we don't really know where, but presumably just way east of Falm, probably not far from the Two Rivers, a little south. Why the fuck did she get rid of Min at this point, unless she felt like Min needed to be chaperoned? Because realistically, there's only one way for them to all go east, because they're supposed to go to Johanna, they being the Shinarans, and Min's supposed to go to Tar-Valon, which again is still east, and they're going east. So literally they all went the same direction. And I get the fact that the Shinarans may be slow and injured.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But Min could have stayed with her the entire time until they get into Gildon and then divided herself, because I
guess
Min was riding a nearly parallel route, just like 100 yards to the north and just waving once in a while.
I think it was more like she's 6 hours behind them because she's can take her time to get her shit together and they need to race off. Like it's not about, and they don't know where they're going per se. They're just following Rand's trail.
True that it's true they don't know where they're going, but at the same time they're going east. She knows where they're going. It's called Tyr. They don't know the exact route, but whatever they're doing,
again, solid point. So I would explain it away only in the sense of their urgency versus Min's lack of urgency, and that's the only reason. But that's still not a good reason. She could have been like, "Come with us until this point and leave." Yeah. But like, it's still not a good reason, but it's the only reason that makes any sense.
Well, especially considering that one of the most important things that she wants her to know is he's going to get to Tyr. Like in that, there's going to be, the sling has been used. The shepherd holds the sword is what we see in book 4. Yeah. So the fastest route is probably whatever Rand is doing, or follow Rand and then find an even faster route. But at least we know
Tar-Valon.
Yeah.
So they go to great lengths to talk about how dangerous it is for everyone to come travel to meet Moraine in the mountains. Yeah, and then Moraine's like, "Well, you're a beautiful young woman. Why don't you ride by yourself?"
She dresses like a old
Tar-Val.
Yeah, we don't know what route or when she took.
The smarter thing would have been if the more logical excuse would be stay with the Shinarians until they can like escort you out of the mountains. We have to leave fast, and maybe that's the only thing that would like make more sense, sort of.
You're my human magic 8-ball that I'm using for so many things. Why don't you stay with me? You're an important piece of my puzzle here.
Yeah, I mean, she knows he's tied to Rand. Maybe she didn't want her around for some reason.
I guess. I mean, anyone could have gone to Tar-Val.
I honestly think that Joe is correct there, and that as important as Moraine thinks that Min is, she also clearly wants, and this is something that's in this chapter, she wants to be the guiding force for him. She no longer trusts Swan, because she told Swan in book 2, kind of like, "Hey, you don't know what the fuck this is like. This is prophecy." Yeah. And yet at the same time, she's telling Perrin, like, Rand has to be with me. Like, there's still this hubris that I know better, even though we can't, really force him. So it's a very inconsistent point to me.
On that note, Jono, this is kind of Perrin. Perrin makes the same kind of points here that like why, if he wanted to leave, why didn't you just let him leave? You know, kind of thing. Like, and start standing up to Moraine in this moment. But like, it very much resembles when Lan was like, I don't necessarily agree with how you're handling him, you know, kind of thing, way back in book 2 with someone.
Yeah, book 2 when he's
you know, like kind of thing. And it's just like, and you're just like, oh fuck, that's kind of interesting how like Lan is just sort of quiet and on board at this point because it's just Moraine around, and Rand is already gone. So he's like, well, I'll do whatever Moraine needs me to do. But like, I really like how Perrin's kind of making sort of the same points, and like she's not necessarily perfect, and like maybe listen to him, like maybe just letting him go was the right thing to do, kind of thing. And she's like, no, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, interesting.
You don't know the prophecies. Also, I don't know the prophecies. He may have already fulfilled the prophecies, but someone needs to be.
Also, when Perrin starts butting up against Moraine, Loyal's ears jerked.
Erect.
Not erect.
They jerked backwards. Yeah, that's uncomfortable. That's how
his ears jerked.
They jerk backwards.
I'm saying it's a reference, but not fully the reference. Again, I'm just since Matt Hatch went out of his way to give us the exact count, and in my memory there were so many more moments of that. I'm trying to find every reference of like, oh, well, maybe that's what we were thinking. Anyway,
I think the next time he rereads it after we pointed it out to him, he's going to notice it a lot more.
He PDF searched the books. I just think there's way more instances. You heard what I said.
But no, but I mean, like there's jerked, there's like slapped, there's jacked, there's kind of like beaten around. Like there's plenty of options that he probably
his ears jerked though. I mean, for like. So Perrin started standing up to Moraine, and then Loyal's ears just came all over the place.
Yeah, they diddled up.
He left so no one around him would die. I guess that's from the note. Balzagamandamon. I don't know why I wrote that.
Little does he know, just walking through a fucking town in a little bit's just going to kill like 20 people. But, you know, it's fine.
Maybe he knows better than you. Oh, and then she says the Forsaken are loose. And they talk about the number of Forsaken and who they kind of were, powerful Aes Sedai from the Angel. This is Robert Jordan just setting up the next 10 books.
Yeah, maybe check out your dreams.
Yeah, and that's when he mentions dreams.
He also repeats that catechism about the Forsaken being bound, and I'm just like, what are you, 8 years old?
Also, what are you?
You've seen them.
That's what I'm saying. Were you not in book 1? You fought 2 of them at the Eye of the World. That was a million years ago.
You dumb fuck. Like, what do you think Rand is battling in the middle of the...
I mean, he literally says, I repeated it by rote, as in, like, without thinking. So it's fine. But at the same time, you're just like, dummy, come on.
I said 7 Hail Marys. Yeah, but you didn't think about it while doing it? You didn't think about the fact that you're actually talking about the devil that you saw, you know, a couple of weeks ago?
You literally encountered 4 of them like 2 chapters ago.
Yeah. It's really fucking dumb. And
so Moraine presses him about the dream. Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, like, that's the thing though, is like, even here, like, to your point, like, even here being pressed about dreams, all he's going to be like, well, I saw a crystal sword. Did you see anything else? Oh yeah, I saw some very lifelike creatures, some of them I've seen well before a number of times that are clearly ominous as fuck. May or may not be the Forsaken that you're telling me about. What about it? No, but
they might clearly be Forsaken, but I don't know.
Moraine presses him to tell him about the dreams and Calendar and whatnot. That's how she knows where Rand is heading, and then she sends Lan out to like check with the whole camp and be like, how much of this dream is accurate? And he comes back and he's like, yeah, a lot of it, all of it.
They all had the dream. They all had it.
Yeah. Again, I feel like there's some weird shit in here to me, but I feel like, first off, all you needed was Perrin having a dream about a place he's never been, never heard of, never seen, to be like, oh, all right, well, that's good enough for me, because you described it better than a fucking artist could have.
It's good that it was Shenarians, because, I mean, if Lan was going around asking a camp full of regular people, like, hey, what did you dream about last night? They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We'll tell you anything.
What is that question? So, tell me about your dreams.
I mean, he's a king to them, so, like, you know.
Exactly. Otherwise, it'd be like, what did you dream about last night? A sword? And like, go away. You're weird.
Perrin says, so we're the people of the dragon now, because they talk about the prophecies and the dragon, you know, getting Calendar out of the Stone of Tyr, and the army that like joins him there are the people of the dragon, kind of thing. They leave Una with all the injured Shanirians and crazy old Massimo, I wrote.
Yeah, Moraine doesn't think that's funny when in reality, it's not far off. It's actually just 100 IEL. So, the same numbers. Well, not quite, but same idea pretty much. She also mentions that those who channel spirit strongly can enforce their dreams, which we kind of mentioned earlier. And Rand could make a whole city see his dreams. Like,
theoretically.
Been fantastic if Rand didn't know how to shield his dreams, but was having one of those erotic fear dreams. That comes out where she's like walking.
Every single person in an entire city all dreams about going into the Waterwood and skinny dipping with Lanfear. Is that what you're saying?
I was going to say exactly. Yeah.
Every single man and woman in the city wakes up and goes, "Whoa." All right.
I may have ejaculated in my bed.
I'm having a really good day.
I'll tell you what, Tyr has been really uncomfortable until the Lord Dragon took over. Now all of a sudden, I have a wet dream every night. I feel like I'm
in my dreams every night.
She asks Perrin and Loyal to join her, and they say yes, of course. And then they go to get ready. This is so post Moraine conversation. Min and Loyal and Perrin have a quick conversation before they all leave.
Well,
she's basically like, "Hey, good job, you stood up to her."
I did like that. It didn't last.
Good one, Wolf Dick.
Good one, Wolf Dick. I noticed, like she says here, and I'm sure I mentioned it last time, that Aes Sedai shield their dreams so they don't.
Yeah, they discuss quickly. Like he's like, "Why the fuck don't you know about the dream?" And she's like, "Well."
Why? Like, I'm sure we mentioned this, but why the fuck would she do that? Like, there hasn't been a dreamer in the tower for 400 something years, maybe 500.
I think it's like standard procedure. That's just like they're just trained to not be susceptible to that.
But there hasn't been a dreamer. There hasn't been a Forsaken. That's
a solid point. The other solid point is she's around Rand, Mat, and Perrin, who she knows has problems with dreams.
Again, that's one. But every Aes Sedai does it. Doesn't make sense as an answer to me. Anyway, so that's just me. And then obviously importantly, the earthquake opened up a back passage, which Rand slipped out of.
Yeah, there was a big crack in the bowl. How much milk came out of there? That's my question.
Well, I'll tell you what, usually for me, it's about 3 teaspoons. Tablespoons. So I guess 9 teaspoons. We usually measure when we crack.
Like if Rand's eating a giant bowl of Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
How much milk comes out of that bowl? Min has some viewings of Perrin. Aielman in the cage. Tuatha with a sword, Falcon and Hawk perch on his shoulders. And then she goes, and all that normal darkness junk. And he's like, "Don't tell me about that."
Why does that bother you? Like,
I don't know. You already know. This is such a standard. Like, by the way, bro, you're wrapped up with Rand. He needs to fight the Dark One. It's obvious. Like, what? Don't talk to me about that. It's very unsettling.
First rule about fighting Dark Club is don't talk about Dark Club.
You meet the most beautiful woman you've ever seen run, and Perrin's like, "Oh, you like me?
You want to fuck me?" He's Victor Pulacking real hard. Like he's got the hair as Victor Pulak. Like he is all about it. Like
oh man,
does anyone want to fuck me? Does anyone want to fuck me? No.
Thankfully for Perrin, he figures it out pretty quick, and he's like, "Oh, it's Rand." And she's like, "Yeah, dummy."
And my fucker. Wait,
and then he's like, "Does Egwene know?" And then Min's like, "They broke up last book."
Are you mental? So Wayne's World joke there. That's really bad. Yeah.
She calls him a wooden-headed wonder, which I kind of love as an insult. It's just kind of it doesn't come really back up again, you know.
Chapter 7. All I wrote was traveling montage, fish.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
tWoTcast for this week to me.
No, it's not, and here's why. I have a very important note, Jono.
Is tickling fish a lesbian reference? And because she was a pillow?
No, but Loyal's really good at it. That's really all I have.
I'll tell you what.
And then Moraine is better.
So thickness doesn't matter. It's more about.
It's not the thickness of your sausagey fingers that matters. It's really the deftness with which you move them.
Exactly. Interesting. So even though he's got those thick hands, those strong hands, and the sung wood, she's just got that female touch that knows what those, what that.
Yeah, she just knows where to put her fingers.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I think that's tWoTcast for this week.
So that's tWoTcast for this week. If you have any comments or questions, the best way to find us is on Twitter at tWoTcast.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts. You can email us at tWoTcast@gmail.com.
tWoTcast themes brought to you by Taffy Bennington at Taffy on Twitter and our Anarchy101 on YouTube. And also everyone's favorite musician on hashtag Twitter of time, Androl at Androl Hold, like going back, skin hauled on Twitter, and Androl Bar to Time on YouTube with an exclamation mark.
We're on Patreon.
Oh shit, we're on Patreon.
We're on Patreon way more often than we used to be at patreon.com/tWoTcast. If you enjoy the show, help us out and give us some of your money and enjoy exclusive content only on Patreon.
Join us next week for the Wheel Time Book 3, that's wrong.
No, whoopsie daisy.
The Dragon Reborn, Part 3, covering chapters 8 through 11. That seems to be right. You've been listening to Jono.
Jono.
Joe.
Keep the change, you filthy animals.
I'm Tom Stadiermath.
Among the first to start, the tWoTcast was so smart to lovingly bash our favorite books. But that was long ago, and now they've grown the show, and now they got us in their hooks. Don't throw coins to these bastards, they need bars of gold at least. Someone please keep them afloat. Now let's listen as they once again ramble through a book. Let's get the fucking quote. One of them is Tom, but he is barely on. Sometimes he calls into the show. Another one is Jono. Is he their joker? Oh no. And Joe, is he the stupid one? Welcome to the tWoTcast. We will share our love for books and all our hate in every episode. We'll entertain you, make you laugh so hard you barely can stand up. That is the tWoTcast.